Welcome to Digital Tools for Copyright Images Design and Creation. We're so excited that you are joining us for this session today. I want to introduce myself. I'm Nancy Jo Lambert, and I am a teacher librarian at Reedy High School in Frisco ISD, Frisco Independent School District in Frisco, Texas. I am also an English 4 teacher this year as well. doing some double duty this year. But also I am I'm a past president of the Texas Association of School Librarians. I'm a two-time president of the TCEA Librarian Special Interest Group. I'm currently the president of the Librarians Professional Learning Network. That's what it is. And then I also have held various positions in the American Association of School Librarians and the American Library Association, as well as other work that I've done. I'm also a co-founder of an organization called EduPride Alliance, where we seek to increase visibility and normalize LGBTQ identities in education for educators and for students. So you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and at edupridealliance.org. I think that's about the end of my list there. My friend James now is going to introduce himself.
Hello, I am James Allen. I'm the statewide school library lead and digital learning coach in the Office of Education Technology at the Kentucky Department of Education. Start this presentation.
Okay.
So today we're going to talk about a bunch of image stuff, but before we do that, I wanted to talk about copyright real quick because I don't feel like it's an easy thing to kind of just gloss over, and if it's hard to understand unless you talk about it more often. So that's what I'm going to do today. So fair use is thrown around a bunch, but there is no set standard of what fair use is. It basically is what happens when things get taken to court and the judge goes through and decides whether something was used in fair use or not with copyright. So you may not know everything that you create, that anyone creates, is automatically copyrighted. If I draw a picture on a napkin, it's copyrighted. I don't have to go to some special office and have get it officially copyrighted for it to be protected. Anything we create is protected as soon as it's in some kind of recorded form. But with fair use, I've got these 4 bullets here. These are the 4 things to consider when using something that is copyrighted. And it's always best to get permission if you're going to use somebody else's work. That's the easiest way to do it. But the 4 things...
They're express permission, preferably written if possible.
But the 4 things with fair use, the first one is the purpose and character of the use. So if you're using it for educational purposes, that's good. If you're not, then that's not good. And since this is a presentation for teachers, you're probably going to be using it for educational purposes, so that's good. The nature of the copyrighted work has to do with what it is. So if it's a creative expression, say like a painting, that is less protected by fair use than something like a news article, if that makes sense. So the more creative it is, the less likely it falls under fair use. So think about that when you're taking images or pictures or things like that. And then the substantiality of it, how much you use. So if it's 1 paragraph out of an entire novel, that's not a big deal. But if you're copying an entire book and sharing it with your class, that's a big difference in fair use. And then the effect,
even an entire chapter.
Yeah, it's an entire chapter, anything that's like substantial. So, and the last one is how your use of that work affects the potential market value of it. So if I take a workbook for my math class and copy it, I'm affecting the value of that thing by not buying another workbook. So think about how you're affecting the market value of that thing. So copyright is really restrictive. The problem with everything being copyrighted is that it makes it hard to share things, because even if I wanted to share a picture with you that I've posted online, if I just post it and I don't list anything about Creative Commons, it's copyrighted. You have to contact me for permission, so that gets kind of tedious if you're trying to use people's work. Creative Commons comes into effect. You can go to the next slide if you want. Creative Commons makes it where the creator of the work has a lot more control over who can use it and under what circumstances. So there are lots of different Creative Commons licenses. The one that we talk about on this session today is Creative Commons 0, and that's basically like public domain, which means you can use it and you don't even have to cite it. You don't have to give credit. It's always good to give credit, I think, if it's not your own work, but things that are Creative Commons 0, you can just use however you want. It can be for commercial purposes, whatever you want. But if you go to this Creative Commons website that we have linked here, the Creative Commons license right there, you can get an idea about all of the different licenses. So if you scroll down, you can kind of see there's CC BY. So you can do it just for non-commercial.
And as educators, you'll see a lot of these different Creative Commons icons and types of licenses on people's blog posts or images or things that they create, because there are, our edu celebs and people who create content all the time for us as educators. And so you'll start, now that we've brought it to your attention, you'll start seeing these and be like, oh, they've licensed this. I wonder, if you don't know, I don't know what all of these mean when I see them, but when I see them, I know it's something to do with Creative Commons licensing.
Yeah, so the big thing with them is if you see the little person there, that means credit must be given to the creator, but you can kind of use it for whatever you want. And then the next little icon there, it can be non-commercial use, so that's going to be educational use. And then if you go down one more, you can see adaptations must be shared under the same terms. So if I take somebody's image and edit it and use it for some other thing, I have to also share it under the Creative Commons license. So that's just a few of the standards that they go by there. There is a link right there that says by searching. There's tons of places where you can go and search for Creative Commons stuff, but there's just a big giant catch-all search link there for you if you want to try it out.
So why are we talking about this to you? Because obviously, sometimes maybe your campus librarian or maybe there's someone else on your campus who is considered the copyright police. But James and I both feel like it's super important to model the ethical use of images. We want to model this as educators to one another. We want to model this to our students. We're constantly talking about digital citizenship and protecting your identity and those things, but a lot of our students are also creators. They're creating their own content. They're doing a lot of their own things. They're creating content for us in our classrooms. And so we want to model that you wouldn't want somebody to come and take your stuff and use it without your permission and change it or make it into something that's not representative of you or your work or your person. So that's why we feel like it's really, really important as educators that when we're doing stuff with images and we're creating these images for all these virtual things that we're doing and online things that we're doing, we want to always model the best practices and make sure that we are doing our best to use things that are Creative Commons License 0 or that we have permission to use, that kind of thing. A lot of times it's just a quick email to whoever created it. Hey, I found this blog post and I found this image or I found this infographic and I wanted to use it for this presentation or for this for school or this for my class. And every time I've ever contacted somebody else about those types of things, they've always been like, absolutely, feel free to use it, just give me credit, they might say, or something like that. So, which I would do anyways, but I think that it's just really important to give people the credit for the things that they create and that they do. Oh, and I want to point out really quickly, too, that at the top of all of our slides, there's a bit.ly link. That bit.ly link is going to take you to these slides, which you can totally use, and we hope that you'll pull that up and click on some of our resources.
Yeah, we have tons of links on almost every slide. So it's IFL 21 Dig Tools.
All lowercase.
All lowercase, yeah.
So this slide, so James and I both, and honestly, like I'm an image creator now because of some of the tutelage and teaching and learning that I've done from James. So I'm very grateful to him and super excited to get to present this content with him because he pretty much taught me everything that I know that we're presenting. So, but this slide just kind of shows you some of the different things that James and I have created for different purposes. And we just kind of wanted to touch base about some of these. So I'm going to talk about this one right here. This was an Instagram post that I created for my library Instagram, and you'll notice that the image behind it, obviously did some effects to it and whatever, but I put that this was a photo by and the person that created it from Unsplash. So we're going to talk about sources of photos and things like that, but I just wanted to point out that on that one and also this one and this one, I created both of these. I got these images from this site called Unsplash, and so those are here, and then I just have little photo credits on them because I want everybody to know that I didn't like steal this image, or I'm not using a copyrighted image, that I'm using something that I'm able to use, and then I'm just giving that little piece of credit to the creator.
Yeah, and when I'm working with kids, I try to tell them anything you have in the stuff that you create, if you create a presentation, a project, if you share it and you don't give credit to who created it, you're really asserting that that's something that you made. So even for images that you don't have to give credit for, if I share it with you on a presentation, I'm assuming you're going to think that I made it if I don't give credit to somebody else. So,
or that I just went to Google and grabbed it, and I may be violating some copyright.
Yeah.
And a quick reverse image search. As a teacher, you can reverse image search stuff, and you can see where they got it, and if they in fact, got something that was copyrighted that they probably clearly don't have permission to use.
And then up in the top right is it's just an infographic that I created in Canva. We're going to talk about that tool. And then in the bottom right is something I made for ISTE 2019. I use the Procreate app on my iPad.
And I think this Instagram post, I created that in Canva, and then I created this We Welcome thing. I created that in Google Slides. And then this up here, I think was a combination maybe. No, I think I did that in Google Slides too, actually. Yeah. So just we're gonna talk about a lot of tools where you can create images like this. We just kind of wanted to give you an idea of some of the different types of things you can create. So what is our purpose today with this session? We want to, obviously, James did a great job of explaining ethical and legal ways to create images for digital spaces as educators. We talked about those ethical and legal things and modeling, good academic practices for our kids' digital citizenship. We also want to model and teach students ethical and legal ways to create images for their digital products. So this is both for you as the educator, and then we hope that this also translates into the students that you work with or your classroom.
And promote just good design practices for image creation. We, as teachers, we create a lot of stuff for our kids to take in. So the better our designs can be, it just kind of helps everything that you do in the classroom. And to teach students good design practices for their own creation purposes. So some of these things are definitely going to be things that you're going to use as a teacher, and then other things you and both your students can use, but we'll mention those.
And also, when we're thinking about all the digital spaces that our kids inhabit, through social media, through school, all the different ways that we can now connect with one another. We just really want students as creators to understand where they can get things to use as creators, and then, how to just be, kind to the creators of other stuff.
So we're going to start with just some tools that we use. There'll be quite a few that we're going to go through. So you want to talk about Canva? I don't use it as much as some of the other ones.
So I use Canva probably almost every day. And as an educator, you can now get the free educator account, which is like the better version than the free version. So one of the things that I love about the educator account is there's tons more photos in the educator account that Canva has either licensed or pulled in. I know that a lot of the photos they use in their photos for educators come from places like Unsplash. And so they have really great design tools. They have tons and tons of templates. So if you're like, I'm not creative, I don't even know where to start, pull up a template and just tweak the template, replace their content with yours. My own son was using Canva recently for a project, and he was like, Mom, I don't know which newsletter to use. I have to do these opinions, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you can totally use any of these templates that you want. and then you just replace whatever's in there. You can put, this is the op-ed part, this is another op-ed, like it doesn't, you don't have to find one that has opinions. So just sometimes, our kids, and he's in 8th grade, and he's super tech savvy, but that didn't translate for him. So sometimes our kids need a little additional help when using Canva, but I use it every day, and I certainly encourage my kids here at high school and my own children in middle school to use it.
So you may not know, but Google Slides and Google Drawings basically have the same features. So anything that you can do in Google Drawings, you can do in Google Slides. I think there's one feature where you can export a transparent PNG in Google Drawings that you can't do in Google Slides, but all of the tools that are in Google Drawings are in Google Slides. So it's either whichever one you want to use. Sometimes Google Drawings is a little better for kids, so they don't get distracted by having multiple slides. But just
and also Google Drawings too. It feels more like they're creating like an image or a picture in Google Drawings, whereas Slides, like you said, they kind of feel like they're making a presentation. So
yeah, there's just more features in there, but
they make it look more.
But like everything you can do in Google Drawings, you can do in Slides too. So when you're making your presentations, just keep that in mind.
And you can download any Google Drawing or any individual Google Slide as a PNG or a JPEG. So you can turn a Google Slide. So some of those images we showed you where we had created those, and I said I create these in Google Slides. Like I just created that one slide, and then you download it, and then it's a PNG.
And it's super easy to change the page size too. So if you want a different size image, you can change the page size of either the slide or your drawing.
That's absolutely true. And you can also change, like on drawings, you can make it pixels. If you're at a site and they're like, you need an image that's this by this, you can go to Google Drawing and make it that by that, pixel-wise, and then design on that canvas.
Genially is a newer tool that I've kind of gotten into using. It's a little bit different. It's kind of like a bunch of tools wrapped into one. I don't know if you've used ThingLink before, but it's a little bit like that. It's kind of like Google Slides. It's kind of like you almost can build websites inside of it, little mini websites. So it has tons of stuff. It's just sometimes refreshing to use a different presentation tool instead of just Slides all the time or Keynote or whatever you're used to.
So I've used Genially a ton this year. Our district everybody has to use Canvas, the LMS system, and I've made a ton of Geniallys. Like I made a Genially for my library page that teachers can add to their Canvas. So it's literally like I made a Genially, and then I just put it on a Canvas page, and then I shared that page with all the English teachers so they could each add it to their Canvas course, so that the kids would have all the library resources, boom, right there on one page. So I've done it. We're gonna show you some Geniallys and stuff, but it's a really great tool. You can do, like James said, you can do presentations. You can also make like a static page. You can make a page with links that jumps to other pages, and so it's a really cool, fun tool.
And they do have a free version, and then they also have an education rate for their paid version. So
they are based out of Europe, though. So their website used to, I don't know if it still does, but it used to have like Euro dollars as well as like American dollars. So don't let that throw you off if that's.
I've paid for the pro version for 2 years, so it's a cool tool.
I have as well. Yeah.
So Unsplash is my hands down favorite for stock photos, and they used to use the Creative Commons Zero license, the one where you don't have to give credit. They've since changed that to their own specific license. You can go to their website and read what their license says, but it basically works the same as the Creative Commons Zero license. You don't have to give credit, but it's appreciated when you do. And there's all kinds of images. I would say it's not like going to Google Images. You're not going to get a bunch of junky pictures on there. It's really professional looking stuff. I would be comfortable with middle school and high school using it in terms of what kind of content's in there. There are some, like bathing suit pictures type stuff, but it's pretty well moderated in terms of content in that respect.
I don't use this one. I use Unsplash the most as well. Pixabay, one thing I have done is I've added these resources that we're going to show you. I've added them to my Mac and Via as links, and then anytime kids are working on projects or whatever, and they're going to need images, I always throw those links in that Mac and Via group so that the students can see if they need to get photos, that way they're less tempted to go to Google and get something that they shouldn't be using or don't have permission to use. If I've just got those right there and I show them how easy it is, you go to Unsplash and you just, you search computer and boom, there's a whole bunch of really nice quality, high resolution, kind of sometimes artsy, creative photos. So once you show them these types of resources and show them what's available to them, they do use them.
So Photos for Class, it used to pull in pictures from Flickr also, but now I think it pretty much primarily uses Pixabay. The only difference with using Photos for Class is when you download an image, it includes the citation at the bottom of the picture automatically. So when you download a PNG from Photos for Class, or at the bottom it has a black box with white writing that gives credit to the person who created the picture and where it came from. And
which is really handy.
This might sound kind of silly, but anytime I go to a website that shares pictures that I might use with students, I search for the word chicks. I know this sounds terrible, but if baby chickens pop up in the results, then I feel a lot better about using that site. So just doing a few searches yourself before you throw it out there for the kids is always a safe idea. So Noun Project is an awesome site. It is all about icons and simple illustrations. You can search for basically anything and you will get an icon for that. And it's in their licensing, they talk about who should be using it and who should not. It's definitely not for younger students because you can search for an icon for anything and it will come up if you get what I'm saying.
Look at this. Did you see this, James?
Yeah, I put the
Icons
link
for
into the
education.
education one because that's the one that I use. It's only $20 a year, and basically what happens when you use the paid account, it changes the licensing. So if you use Noun Project and don't pay, you have to give credit to the author of that image. If you pay the $20, it changes the license to a Creative Commons Zero license where you don't have to give credit. And why that's important with Noun Project is a lot of times when you use things like this, it would be cumbersome to put a credit for each little icon that you use on whatever you're creating. But you can also download these as SVG files. So if you have a Cricut or a vinyl cutter or a laser cutter, you can use these to use in your machine to cut out. So that's kind of cool too. And you can change the color of the icon to whatever you want it to be. And
if you pay for it,
if you pay for it, yeah, I have the paid version, so it looks a little bit different. Well, there's the color down there on the bottom right.
Yes, but or you can pay by the icon. There have been a few instances where I'm like, I really need this icon for something, really big or important that I'm working on. So I'll pay the $3 for it because then I can change the color or do whatever I need to it. So you can also pay by the icon, which is,
And it's
an
been a
option.
while since I read this, or experienced it. I'm pretty positive that if you use Adobe Spark and use icons from there, they're pulling icons from the Noun Project, but they're a moderated version, so you don't get some of the more adult themed icons. So if you use Adobe Spark with your kids, they can get any icon they want for inside of Adobe Spark. Techsmith Snagit there are tons of screen capture tools out there, but it's just one that I've used for years and years. It's my favorite. It has lots of features in it for markup. You can blur images, you can add arrows, you can even do simple screen recordings like we're doing right now, and edit those videos inside of Snagit. It's about $30, I think, for the education version, and it's totally worth it. It's an awesome tool.
Well, and once you buy it, you can then, I think I only pay like $8 a year or whatever to update it, and I can have it on 2 devices. So I have it on my school desktop, and then I also have it on my personal MacBook. So you get 2 licenses, and then every year they're like, hey, do you want to go ahead and upgrade to the latest version? It's only, $7 or $8 or whatever it is. So I definitely agree with James. It's totally worth it. And I use Snagit almost every day as well. So I'm going to talk about Colorzilla because Colorzilla is one of my favorite things. So it's this little icon guy up here. It's a Chrome extension. And so you just go to pick color off the page and then see right here this little box. As I'm hovering, you'll notice it's picking up the colors that I am hovering over. So let's say, I really want this green because I want to do some font in the color that matches this thing. I just click that and then I go to my, where I'm editing my text or my square or whatever it is on whatever it is I'm doing, and I just drop that hex code in there for the color. And is it hex code or RBG? It doesn't really matter, I guess. But you just drop that code in there.
Yeah,
and then
it
you
automatically copies it to your clipboard, so you can just
Yes.
paste it in.
Yep. It's so amazing, and that way you're not like, well, I think it's kind of matches this color, So that way you can grab those exact colors.
So now we're just going to talk about process a little bit when you're starting out fresh with something new, and just some tips.
And like we said, these are things that we hope you'll also translate to your students. Once you kind of start designing and creating some things on your own, you determine your own process, and the kids will determine their own processes too. But these are just kind of general things that we think are important to talk about for that design process.
So obviously, go ahead. You're going to start with an idea or a topic or a theme, and just kind of keeping that central is key.
And like if you're doing something for something that already exists, there may already be, like, you may have, school colors already or school logos or things, and you're using those, or you may have like a theme in your classroom that year or something. So, if you have that, that's great. If you don't, kind of try and think about before you even start opening up things and getting things and stuff, what do I kind of want this to look like?
And then we've already given you a few resources to choose images or icons to complement that theme that you're working on. And then we just talked about Colorzilla, using colors based on your image. You can take little samples out of your picture that you use, or whatever you're working on. And when I'm going to go back to that middle bullet, a lot of times it's cool to start with a picture that you've taken. So you don't always have to go out to Unsplash or some other place. You could use a picture that you take yourself, especially now that we all have awesome cameras in our pockets all the time. Just keep your camera ready.
On your smartphone is what he's referencing there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Speaking of images, just choosing one that's high quality, an original one, maybe one that you took yourself, like I was saying, and then there's Unsplash here.
So this was a photo that James took himself, and so we were able to throw it into this presentation. And
let's show them Unsplash real quick and just do a search and just show, like, just type in library or books or something, like, computer's good. So you can just see right away tons of awesome options.
And I love Unsplash because, like I said, the photos sometimes they're a little bit artsy, but they're always so well done. They're very colorful. They're very there's lots of photos with people, and the good thing too about Unsplash and Pixabay Photos for Classes, all the people who are in these photos gave their permission to the creator for them to share this photo. So you're not having to worry about, like if you need a picture of students and you're not sure about using pictures of your actual students, go to a site like this and get these stock photos, because all these people have given, all the parents, everybody's given everybody permission
theoretically
to use their images. Yeah, theoretically, hopefully.
I like to use pictures of people where, like, a lot of these you'll see it doesn't show their faces. I'm pretty sure that's on purpose, so sometimes that's a safer route to go. But
the premise is that
they've signed releases.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it's funny because I see. I've been using Unsplash so much for so long now. Like I will recognize photos in marketing materials that I'm like, oh, that's an Unsplash photo. Like this one, you see this one all the time. The umbrella one, like there are some photos that you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's in Unsplash. So Yes. So the creativity part, like I don't consider myself a super creative person. I think that my friend James Allen is significantly more creative than I am. But he's kind of taught me that there is a process you can kind of go through. So it appears as if you are creative when you're actually not. Like one of the things that I've learned is how to search in Unsplash and Pixabay and Photos for Class. A lot of times if I'm thinking I want something that's a certain color, but I'm not necessarily that picky about the object, I'll search just yellow, instead of thinking like, oh, I think I want a yellow, this, that, or that, that way I can leave my mind a little more open to what's there. Or like, I might want a computer and I might want just a computer, or I might actually want a computer with like a notebook on it or something. So I'll search notebook, and then the things with notebooks will pop up. So just think about when you're searching for those, um, what you're actually, and then be open to the creative process of using something that maybe you weren't necessarily thinking initially, but that the images themselves kind of lend to your project. And this one's really important for me. Work when you have time, because if you're feeling rushed or you're feeling stressed, like, oh, I gotta get this done, in the next 5 minutes or something, that's not the best time to be creative. That might be the best time to use something that's already done, because I never do my best work when I'm super, super rushed. And then, like I said, when you're choosing those images from some of these sites or icons or whatever, choose things that excite you, that make, when you see it, like really be kind of in tune to your emotions. Like, does this fit with what I'm trying to do here? And then the other thing to consider is, does it soothe your senses? Like, I know that James is really good at creating a lot of images that just feel very like comforting and soothing. So, think about that when you're creating your images too. And then know that just like when we teach writing to our kids, revision is part of the creative process. So don't be afraid to go in and revise something, resize it, take it out, try something else. Sometimes I'll find 3 or 4 images and I'll save them just real quick to my desktop or something, and then I'll try each one to see, which one I like the best, because and then later on, I might get further along in the design and be like, you know what, I think I'm going to go back to that other image. And that's totally okay, because revision is part of it. And coming back to things later is key too, because a lot of times if I can even just give it a few minutes, just go to the bathroom or, help a student with something or whatever, and then come back to it and kind of see it with fresh eyes, it helps my creativity process and the design in general. Do you want to add anything, James?
No,
Or
I agree with everything we have there. Yeah, for sure.
And for some people, that creative process is just inherent. They just do it. They don't have to think about it. But like for me, sometimes I have to think about some of those things.
So I think
So
this is your slide too. I think.
I know, I love this. I love this flower because it's just so colorful and it's a rainbow and all the things. But yeah, so I got this from Unsplash, which you'll see the little credit there. But color really matters. So when you're creating something, you don't have to use every color that's out there on something. You can pick, depending on what it is. I like to tell my kids, choose like a main color, and then maybe like, or 2 main colors and an accent color, or a main color and 2 accent colors. Like, you don't need 25 colors on everything to make something really fantastic. So really pay attention to those colors and what colors are warm or cool, um, or go with your topic or your theme or whatever it is.
And I think this was your Colorzilla example too, because you used the Colorzilla to get the colors for your
Correct.
letters down there below.
Yeah, I used my Colorzilla and I picked the colors from the flower that I wanted in this. So all of these colors for these letters come from that image right there.
So I'm pretty. I should have made the other bullet first, the one that says use fewer fonts. I'm pretty passionate about people using fewer fonts. Like when I see things that are created, I know the intention was good, and people get excited when they see how many fonts are out there, especially if you go to on your Google Docs or your Google Slides. And I think it's in Sites now too. You can choose your own fonts. They have
You can.
so many, and sometimes it's easy to just kind of get lost in those and use a bunch. But when you do a design, really try to limit how many fonts you use, and we're pushing the limits even on this slide right here, because I count fonts as, like, there's the bold limit, and then there's the regular font and the bullet, and then we have design over there that's a little bit more bold, and then we have our Bitly up at the top. So we're already using 4 different fonts in this one slide.
The
So,
Bitly font is the same as the
but it's a
bullet
different
font.
size. So there, your size and the weight of the font, those all matter. So just try to limit those. Keep it simple. Make it easy to read. I know there's some really awesome script fonts out there, but when they're small, they're really hard to read sometimes. Something else that's really important is negative space, and that's the space where you're not putting something. I've seen a lot of designs where things are just crammed in. You want to get all the information you can on the design, and it just makes it so hard to read or to take in when you don't have that space kind of just balancing things out. So,
And you don't have to make your font, like, the words don't have to take up the entire space. Your image doesn't have to take up the entire space. Think about, like, perspective and balancing that negative space with all the different elements you have in there. James is always telling me, could we have a little more negative space at the bottom of that? Or
buffer, you need the buffer in there.
yes, the buffer zone.
And we're still talking about space here. So just spreading things out makes it easier to use, easier to read.
Yep. A lot of times we see people who present presentations, because we go to a lot of conferences and stuff, and their slides, there's just so much on the slides. It's like, it's hard for people, like, if that's how you like things, that's fine. But when you are sharing and presenting with other people, and this is what I always tell my kids, it's one thing if this thing is just for you, but when you're showing it to a lot of other people, you want them to be able to take in the information. So make sure that you're not putting, like, 25 pictures on a
Yeah,
on a slide.
some of my favorite presentations are when the slides are just one picture. And there's just one picture up on the slide and maybe one word, and then the person talks. Like, I don't know. That just speaks to me a lot more than a slide with a paragraph written on there. So, and then just choosing your words carefully and the information that you share. Kind of like what I was just saying, the people that have presentations where they just have one main theme on the slide and then kind of talk to that theme, kind of has a little bit more power than putting the whole paragraph down. You might want to have paragraphs in your presentation, but put that somewhere else in something that somebody can download and read later. Don't put it in your presentation.
And if you're creating images for, your website or for a presentation or something like that, just make sure that you are taking consideration the amount of words on it. Like, if somebody's going to walk by it and see it for all of 3 seconds, how many words do you really need on that? Or if it's going to be in your presentation, do you really want them reading the entire time that you're talking, or do you want them listening to what you're saying? So. All right, so now we're going to talk about some different tools by device. So we understand that, different schools and students have different devices that are available and accessible to them. And we also understand that sometimes you can actually think about what tool you want to use, and then, because some of us have multiple devices. So that's what we're going to talk about now.
So our phones are super powerful. You can do so much on just your phone. It's insane how much we can do these days compared to really just a few years ago. We just have a little short list here, and all of these link out to where you can download these. Layout is it's an Instagram app. It kind of connects with Instagram. You can create mosaics of different still photos and all kinds of different patterns and sizes and different numbers of images on there. It's really easy to use and export. And then Adobe Spark is awesome. They have lots of templates, kind of similar to Canva, things where you can just take and then just change the text to what you need it to be. And then you can export that to either a still image or even little animated kind of GIF type images. This one's yours. I've never used this one before.
WordSwag is just a fun little app. I think you do have to pay for it, but I really like it because, I really love Instagram. Instagram is probably one of my favorite social media tools. And so I always see these, content creators and these influencers and stuff with these great, graphics or cute little designs on their Instagram. So WordSwag is one of the places that they create those. So this is just a fun app, and it just allows you to, I think I created that picture back there about the oof, your library books are due. I think I created that on WordSwag, I want to say. But it just gives you the option to put in a photo or pick from a ton of different backgrounds, and then it has all the fun fonts, and then for each font you can choose, do you want it in style 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the same font, but then they change the position, or which words are swirly and which ones are not swirly. Well, I don't know if those are called, but you know what I'm talking about, script or not script. So anyway, so it's a really fun little app, and especially if you do very much social media, or you want to create those things, you always see presenters who have those their words on a quote, and and people are sharing it left and right, so that's one way you can create that really easy and quickly.
Plotiverse is kind of fun. It just lets you animate still photos. You can kind of see it in the little GIF that's playing there. You mark out all the parts you don't want to move, and then you tell certain parts of your pictures to be animated. It's just kind of a cool little app. And I forgot about this with Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark, you can choose your school logo and your colors, and then automatically have designs based on those colors. So it's a way to kind of simplify and speed up the design process in Adobe Spark. It's pretty awesome. And we've talked about Canva. I like Canva because they have a web version, but their phone and iPad versions are really close to what you experience on the website. So you can design on the go if you need to.
And a lot of times what I do with Canva is I might design something for school on my desktop, and then I'll have it on my Canva account, and I can just go to my phone and pull it in, and then I have my Instagram post or my Twitter post, and I can pull in the original file versus some weird version of it. So I like that too.
Pick Play Post it's a cool app. There's a free version that has a little logo on it, but you can pay for it too. It is similar to Layout, where you create the mosaics of still images, but you can also create mosaics of videos. So if you want to share multiple videos at the same time, you can use that to put them all up there, and then you can export that as a video file. Or I can't remember if you can do GIF or not, but I know you can do video. But you can combine still images and videos all in one mosaic. And then Image Play is my favorite GIF creation app on the phone. So I guess it's IMG Play is my favorite feature is that you can export the GIF and tell it the size you want, because Twitter limits your image to 5 megabytes. So you can tell it you want a 5 megabyte GIF, and it gives you that, so you can post it to Twitter. We have a few examples here. Maybe just show that Pick Play Post one, because it'll give an idea of what those look like. This is just a Twitter post, and it shows some things from our library. There's some still, there's one still image, and then some video, or 2 still images and some videos playing. So you can see all of those in one Twitter post. Instead of having multiple videos or multiple pictures, you can put them all in one thing right there. And this is just kind of a goofy GIF, but you can take videos from your phone and turn those into GIFs using Image Play. So there's one that just a little doodle, and then I took that video and turned it into a GIF for Twitter.
And I'll just show one of these WordSwag. I can't even honestly remember which one these are. Oh yeah, so this is an example of a WordSwag that I made. So the bird white thing is the background, and then you'll notice all I did was type in the words, and then I picked, did I want the words in style 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then it puts it all together, and it's just
that breaks my font rule, but I still like it though. It looks good.
I didn't choose the fonts.
I said it still looks good. It's fun.
So this is an example of a layout here. So this was book display that I had in my library regarding consent and rape and sexual assault, and books dealing with all those things. And so I wanted multiple pieces of that display shown here. So this is the whole display, and then you can see the little pieces broken out there in the layout. And then that's just one image that I was able to post to Instagram.
So we have a few tablet apps. My favorite iPad app of all time is Procreate. It's the best, in my opinion, it's the best drawing and painting app on your iPad. It's so cool. The little GIF that's playing right there was done in Procreate. You can create animated GIFs inside of Procreate. You can even import videos and add painting and doodles to your videos. It's basically a replacement of Photoshop, but it's for your iPad. So it has, you can put text in there. It has a text feature. It just is super powerful and can do all kinds of stuff. It's my favorite. And then Adobe Spark is cool across all the platforms. You can either Spark videos or Spark posts or the website version. They're all very cool. And we talked about Canva already. And then Adobe Cc is Adobe Creative Cloud. They have a full suite of iPad or tablet apps that you can use. So there's kind of a Photoshop version. They have Fresco, which is more like Procreate. There is Illustrator for those kinds of designs. There's some cool capture apps in Adobe Cc. So check those out if you have a tablet.
And I just want to say really quickly, for years and years, we've talked about design, and I've been learning from James, and he's like, you got to get Procreate, blah, blah, blah. So I finally went ahead, I think it was this summer, fall, I think it was summer. I finally went ahead and bought the Procreate app, and I will tell you that I kind of actually really love it. I use it all the time. And I made some really cool things for my library with it. And I also use it just to like entertain myself. So it really is a great app. So I just wanted to plug it, because normally I would just sit here and while he talks about these apps and not use any of them, but Procreate I obviously use, and Adobe Spark and Canva too. So.
And then we just have some examples here. The KY Go Playground thing I did in Adobe, kind of a combination of Illustrator and Photoshop. And then the next one is, I think that was one I did in Photoshop too. I just did some selective coloring there where all the books are in color, and the rest of the photo is black and white, and then our SLC survey question logo there. And I think there's one more on this slide. Oh yeah, the ISTE thing that I did in Procreate. So I just kind of traced over the ISTE logo and added some other traced images, and then kind of put it all together inside of Procreate. And then we have some desktop things. Adobe Cc obviously is awesome on your desktop too. And we talked about Snagit and Canva already, and then Genially too for creating all kinds of cool design stuff.
And I'm just going to show you Genially really quick so you can see it. So obviously I have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. But I just kind of want to show you what it looks like from the back end, so you get a better idea of what this site can do. So you'll see here in my Genially, I have a bunch of different things, and what I love about this is that I can make something once, and then I can duplicate it and then just change the elements on it. And like, these are things that I started to create and I ended up abandoning them. They were not what I wanted. Some of these other people shared something with me, and then I took theirs, and then, because that's the other thing you can do in Genially is you can share your designs with other people with accounts. I created this right here, this background for this. This is actually created in Procreate, and then whenever I want to use it, because this is like a bookshelf. Okay, so whenever I want to use this this thing that I created in Procreate for something in my library, I want to create like a virtual book display. I just have a couple of Bitmojis in here so I can decide which one I want to use, and then I just take that one out I don't want. But I can just duplicate this, and then I can put all the different elements in here that I want, and what the elements within the Genially you can also animate, and you can link things to, and you can do all the things. So I was talking earlier about the page that I created for my library. So this is actually the page that I created that I said that I shared with all my teachers, and it's also on my library website. So this is basically my library website in one page. So I have up here, I have links to all my social medias for the library. The kids can get my email address right here, my phone number to the library. I've got some videos in here on how to get, ebooks and audiobooks. They can click on this and go to Mac and Via. And then over here, they can click on this. They can click on this to search the catalog. They can click on this to, I think that's a video too. And then here's another video. And then over here, everything that is moving is something that is linked or clickable. So it's just a really easy way to get everything all in one thing. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I love Genially.
So we just have some more examples in here. We don't have to show all of these. Maybe just show that Genially of the game, because you can do some cool digital games. It's great for breakouts. It's great for quizzes. So I did a cybersecurity thing in here, and there's actually some audio that plays, and go through when you click the wrong answer. It takes you to a different slide.
And then I'll just show you one of my, this was actually one of those bookshelves that I was just showing you on Genially. So this is one that I actually filled with stuff. So you can see everything kind of animates and pops in at a certain time. So you can time everything. You can time your animations. There's all different types. And then anything that, there are all these things, you can click on all these things and it takes you to, different website pages or forums or different things that link for information.
We should show the Mr. Piercy one. That one, I like that one. That Genially, the first one. So I was just this is kind of a joke, but it has my bit.ly down there kind of animated all the time. And if you hover over Mr. Piercy, you can make it show a different picture, him and his Google glasses. Yeah.
Another one that I did that's been really popular that a lot of people have asked for to copy and stuff are these book flicks. So I obviously copied this from what the Netflix home screen looks like. And then what I did with these was these were for we have 4 units for English 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so I was able to put, links. So if you click on one of these, it takes you to those books in my catalog, so the students can actually then go right to it and check out. I've got some book trailers in here, some things about this video just shows them how to use this book flicks. All of these are live links as well, so it's just like I said, all I have to do is copy it and change out the books or whatever once I make one. And then this one I just want to show because this was one that actually James, my friend, helped me out with, because I was like, how can I put multiple bookshelves on this page? And I don't know why it's taking so long to load. Such detail.
This is an awesome one.
And so you'll notice that I have multiple Geniallys on this one web page. So I made a Genially, and then I put 2 Geniallys inside the Genially, and then I put that one Genially with the 2 Geniallys in it on this page. So that's what will happen as I continue to add more bookshelves. All right. So we wanted to offer you an opportunity to put some of these tools and creative processes to the test. So we have a little design challenge here, and all we're going to ask is that you make a PNG image. So using one of the tools to make images that we've talked about, and then you could make a poster or advertising program for your library or classroom. You could create an Instagram post, or you could create an interactive image. So you can do any of these challenges. There's 4 challenges here, or you can make something on your own.
Yeah, make something up, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to do these. It's just if you're like one of those people that's like, what do I make? We just wanted to have some options there for you.
And then we have a Padlet here where you can share your creation. Maybe you'll get some ideas from what other people create and just kind of build off of. We have a few here from some other presentations.
Yep, and I think James and I both put some things on here. So there's my flower again. So yeah, so we hope that this session was useful to you and that you can take some of this information into your own design work, and also please take it into your classrooms or to use with your students as well. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to us about this presentation or anything that we talked about, we're both really responsive on Twitter, so that's what we put here. So you can find me at Nancy Jo Lambert.
And then I'm TL James A on Twitter.
So feel free to reach out to us if you have any feedback or you want to share some of your designs with us, or you have questions or anything like that. We are always happy to talk about this stuff.
So this is just our credit slide. We had a few pictures from Unsplash, but this was a Slides Carnival template for Google Slides. And another great source is Slides Mania for some awesome templates that are professionally created. And she has a great Twitter channel where she shares things for educators and all kinds of different slides templates that you can use with your students. Some cool stuff.
Guaranteed you've seen Slides Mania on somebody's something at a session or on Twitter or somewhere. So
All right. Thank you all.
thank you very much.